CP the Fanchise. It feels like we're potting every day, bro. Live shows
Yeah.
every day, man. What's the vibes, man? How are you?
Grind don't stop, man. I'm good, man. I'm good. Monday, we here, man. What's good?
We're here. Super Bowl. I didn't really watch any of it. What were your thoughts?
Trash. I hate
I
it.
didn't miss anything. Combo didn't miss anything.
No. We luckily, for last minute, we kind of canceled our Super Bowl party plans and meeting up with people. We just kind of wasn't really feeling it. And thank God, because if I had to do that and, entertain people in a bad game, it would have been a bad night. It was boring. If you're a Seahawks fan, of course, they have a great fan base. It's good for them. If you're a Patriots fan, not so much. But for a casual fan, I thought the NFL, by and large, all year was kind of whack. I thought it was kind of boring. There wasn't really much. It was lackluster, man. The star power was just missing all the way around in the league, man. It's a lot of new up-and-comers, right? Like the Drake Mays and the Bo Nix and all of that, and Darnold's story. All that's good, but you don't have that, outside of Mahomes. Stafford was there. I kind of wish the Rams were in it. Even though the Seattle was nice, it was really good this year. Kind of feel like they needed that, QB star power to air it out. You know what I mean? It was a running game the entire night.
Yeah. All right, let's shift to the Knicks, man.
Yeah. Shift.
Yeah. You don't want to talk about football. I was going to get more into it, but let's talk Knicks. Look, GTA, he gave you the full experience. He even saw his signature steal from behind on Jalen Brown. It was crazy because Jalen Brown actually saw him. He saw him, and then he still got ripped.
Crazy.
It was kind of crazy. The energy seemed to be contagious. What are your thoughts on GTA's debut?
It was just what the doctor ordered, and just what this Knicks team needs. They needed to up their compete level. They need more dogs, man. They got too many nice guys, too much finesse. This guy's coming in here, he's getting it gritty, and I think this is going to be the best team that he's ever played on. So it's one of those situations. Josh Hart was a similar situation where, yeah, he was a good player, but you didn't really see that impact. You didn't feel that impact when he's playing on a rebuilding Laker team, or he's playing on a rebuilding Pelicans team, or on a Portland team that was just terrible. You don't really feel that impact of that player. But when he's that glue guy on a good team, where it's you just need that guy that can kind of meld everything together. I think that's what Alvarado is going to bring to this team. So, I'm looking forward to lineups with him out there, with Mitch, OG, when he comes back. I think he's going to fit in nicely with this team, man. But he was fantastic in his debut. He came into the game early on, and when he was mic'd up in pregame, he was asking Brunson, what do you want me to do? And Brunson was like, yo, just go out there and hoop, man. You'll see. Brunson was like,
I really didn't know how Brunson could even answer that question,
Yeah.
What was Brunson supposed to say there? I don't know.
Nothing. It was the first day. He don't know nothing. He don't know the system. He don't know the players. And Brunson was just just be a pro. Just do what you got to do.
You know, to that point, we saw James Harden and Donovan Mitchell fit seamlessly. No practices. It was like that almost here. I don't know if they had a shoot around or a practice or not, but it's almost like going to play pickup. If you're with another good player, we both play, we can hoop. It's seamless,
Right.
And that's what it was here, even with no practice. But it could get even better with that practice, with that familiarity,
Yeah. And, his Garden debut against the Pacers on Tuesday, that's going to be crazy. You already know the Garden is going to go crazy. It's a great story for him. And as you said, as he starts getting acclimated and gets more chemistry with his team, he's a guy, he doesn't need the ball in his hands, but he's going to be counted on to run that second unit. So the guy I'm really looking forward to him playing alongside, we did see those two guard lineups from Mike Brown. So Mike Brown's already saying, I don't care how small they are, we going with them. But you also, I think, with him running that second unit with Karl-Anthony Towns is also going to be key, because he's going to add another defender with that Towns unit. And I want to see how they can get some playmaking going with Towns through Alvarado.
What's interesting about Alvarado's defense, it's not only the steals and playing the passing lanes. He could kind of hold up. A couple guys were trying to play bully ball. He kind of held up really nicely for a guy who's 6 foot and under,
Yeah.
It was nice to see that, because, Kolek and even Brunson don't really give you that resistance.
Right. I've watched him play several times, but for some reason, maybe he was just changing into a blue uniform, but for some reason, watching him stacked up with the rest of the Knicks, he looks small, super small. I said,
Yeah.
Small out there, but I think it's just the change of uniform and playing alongside those guys as a new player that you haven't really seen before with that team. But he punches above his weight, so it's you got to roll with it, man. He's tough.
Any concerns around all the Eastern Conference contenders just getting better? We see it with Herter with the Pistons, they added shooting, and then obviously with James Harden with the Cavs. How are you feeling about these teams adding these players? You know, the Knicks got Jose, but the other teams got better as well.
Everybody's leveling up. Everybody's in that arms race to get to the playoffs, but we're a long way from there. Playoffs is not going to start until April 18th. And so, you know, you got a long ways to go. Guys have to get healthy when they get there. You know, guys are not going to be in the same physical condition then at that point that when they are now. You're going to get worn down from the 82 game schedule. It's an endurance test, man. You know, it's just survival of the fittest. But look, I think this Knicks team, once they get healthy, because health has not been on their side, but once they get healthy, I like their chances against anybody. I don't care whether it's Detroit, Cleveland, Boston. I'm still putting the Knicks right up there as a contender. I'm putting them up there as a contender, man.
You know, we always talk about X factors, but what I think is interesting now is that you never really look at the best players as the S factor, but now I believe it's starting to be Cat, because it feels like there's a little bit of a disconnect, and I think the X factor now is how do we get Cat even more involved than he already is and show that skill set, being one of the most talented bigs in the NBA. It doesn't seem to be clicking right now. Are you seeing what I'm seeing?
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be the same player as he was last year. It seems like the confidence is a little bit shot, whether it's him getting acclimated to the new system, but also with the referees. You know, every game, it's that same, like, complaining. What do I need to do to get a call?
You think it could be the trade stuff too?
Nah, that's over with, man. I honestly don't think it had that much to do with it, like people speculate. Like, he was hearing trade rumors when he was in Minnesota. He's a 10-year vet.
You heard Vince giving him that little pep talk, though. You know, it felt like that had to do with the trade talks.
I don't know if it was the trade talks, and maybe Vince will reveal that on his podcast with T-Mac. But maybe it was just Vince just kind of just coaching him up from pro to pro, like, you know, this is what you got to do to get out of this rut. Because he's in a rut, man. Whether it's the refs, it's finding his role in the offense, it's the fouling. Now the injury, caught a little eye jammy the other night. So, you know, but you're right. He is the X factor. They need him. Yes, you can talk about Alvarado was nice here, and OG's had his moments. Mikal's had his moments. Brunson is Brunson. They can't win a championship without Karl-Anthony Towns playing at an all-star level, and so they have to figure out how to get him going.
I mentioned the trade talks. I don't want to get too much into it. I know you're sick of talking about Giannis, but even with Giannis staying put with the Bucks, you seem to still believe that Giannis is destined to become a New York Knick.
Yeah, if they don't win the championship, I think they'll throw the Hail Mary and go get him. You know?
Why do you believe that? Why?
Well, because for one, with this trade going into the summer, they will have the opportunity to trade the 2033 pick and 2026 along with Towns and probably a package of Bridges and so on and so forth. But I think they will entertain that. It's Giannis, right? This is an MVP caliber player. The question is, can they get away with not sacrificing a ton of their depth to get him? If Giannis goes to the Bucks and says, because the reports are saying, from at least one report from Mark Stein is saying that the Bucks were still intent on sending Giannis to where he wants to go, and he has not confirmed that where he wants to go. So if he does ultimately confirm this summer and say, hey, it's New York or nowhere for me, and the Knicks are able to quote unquote fleece the Buck, then yeah, they're going to go do it, man. I think they'll go do it. You have to. If it doesn't cost you all of your depth, you're going to have to go do that.
But you don't seem happy about it, CP.
No, I'm happy with this team. I'm happy with the depth that they have right now. I want to see the guys that they have right now accomplish a mission. If this is a depth league. And so I look at him as a risk, as a high risk, a red flag, who when he gets there, his best years will be behind him. No, not to say that he's washed, but a guy like that plays high octane, 100 miles per hour, that relies on his speed and athleticism, you're only going to have that but for so long. Father Time is going to catch up with you. And that's what those calf injuries are telling him. And so ultimately he is going to slow down. He can't hit no jumpers. And so how his game ages is going to be a concern. Can he stay healthy is also going to be a concern. And do you have enough depth? He can't cover everybody. So that is going to be the key concern there. Of course, you're going to have to entertain it, but I don't think it's as much as a slam dunk as people think it is.
What's the biggest X factor not named Cat? Like, what else is like Mikal Bridges?
Mikal Bridges.
Yeah.
Mikal Bridges.
Yeah.
Because,
how are you feeling about his season? And
I think he's had a good season, man. You know,
Yeah.
fans continue to go get down on. Guys are gonna have up and downs, man. They're gonna have hot streaks. They're gonna have cold streaks. But Mikal Bridges, outside of Jalen Brunson, he's still, as it relates to their perimeter players, the guy that can still put the ball on the floor and go get you a bucket out of nothing if he chooses to. And that is the big if. Now with Towns, he seems like he can play himself out of a game. Bridges can get into it, get into his mid-range bag. Should Mike Brown dial up those plays, and he to me can help them, especially when they play those tougher defenses, man. Those defenses that are going to run these guys off the three-point line. It's a guy like Mikal Bridges that can put the ball on the floor from the three-point line and knock down that mid-range shot. Mikal Bridges can do it, man.
I was going to give this to you later, but since we're here, start one, bench one, cut one. John Starks, Mikal Bridges, J.R. Smith.
Start Starks, bench JR, cut Mikal. That's easy.
Wow.
Yeah, that's easy. That's easy. You're talking about 6 man of the year. JR with the Knicks was fire, bro. He was nice. JR with the Knicks was fire. So I'm coming off the bench. That's my 6 man anyway. I'm starting with John Starks. We getting redemption for Game 7. Come on, man. Toughness, grit. He put the New York grit on the map. Mikal just got here, man. He's a newcomer. That's easy.
All right, speaking of New York, let's talk about the little team, the Brooklyn Nets. What were your thoughts when they waived one of the best ISO scorers in the world? The guy averaged 24 points a game, back-to-back 40-point games in his early 20s. What were your thoughts when they waived Cam Thomas? You know, obviously the defense and the playmaking has always been a concern with him, and it's something he needs to improve upon. But were you surprised by the move?
Nah, not really. Because he seems to be a red flag. He seems to be a me-first player. I don't want to cast aspersions on him, but if a professional team is going to waive a talented scorer like that, then there's more to the story, that they just don't feel like he's worth the headache. And so, look, a lot of teams will make efforts to keep guys that are checkered history, checkered past, things of that nature. But if they feel like for him, they must feel like for him, it's just not worth it. So, and for a guy like that, his playmaking, his defense is just not there. He's an undersized guard. So a lot of Knicks fans are like, oh, I want Cam Thomas. They don't need that, man. They don't need that. They need to get bigger. They need to get stronger in the front court. And so he goes to Milwaukee. It's a worthwhile risk for them to gamble and see if, hey, maybe he has a great season and Giannis is impressed. They go tank it up. They go get another draft pick in the draft. Maybe you get another talented kid. Who knows what Giannis is going to do there? But clearly the Bucks, who are desperate to try to make him happy and desperate for talent, it's a good situation for both sides. For him to reclaim his career and for them to take a chance on a play like that. But for the Knicks, that wasn't going to work out here.
Or you could look at it like this. He's maybe box office. Maybe he gets some 30-point games, but he won't really help you win, so you could still tank. Maybe that's part of it too.
Yeah, he tanked. He entertained the people, man.
Yeah. Speaking about tanking teams, the Wizards, we talked a little bit about it on the NBA Report, your show, but how do you feel about them acquiring Trae Young and Anthony Davis, and how would you grade their trade deadline?
Well, I think for them, it's a worthwhile risk, right? For a team like that, they haven't had any type of success in a long time, and they can't seem to draft the right players. They can't seem to draft well. It's a worthwhile risk. I know some analysts were saying, oh, they're expediting the build, but the build is going nowhere. They're stuck in quicksand. They could be in the lottery forever and still not be a good team. So, hey, you bring those guys in. You hope that they can reclaim their careers, stay healthy first and foremost. So I think it's worthwhile for the Wizards. Now, as it relates to their strategy, I said 2 days prior to them doing so that they were going to shut AD down for the rest of the season, even though the earlier reports were that when he injured his groin that he had a return timetable for March. So clearly he could come back if he wanted to, but they're going to do that to expedite their tank. And then it was interesting because there was a report that came out today from Mark Stein saying that the competition committee is looking into things like that. So there was a lot of complaints about what the Wizards did. I think the Jazz came out under fire for how they played over the weekend. So
I mean, they got Marketing, JJJ, all these guys on the bench.
Yeah, so I think, again, they're going to try to make some changes to the lottery system. I don't know what it is, but I think they're gonna try to curtail all the tanking and blatant attempts to tank.
Who would you build your franchise around? Cooper Flag or Wemby?
Wemby, two-way player. Two-way player. Two-way force.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, they're both two-way forces. I thought your thing might be that the injury concerns.
Well,
you were almost a guy that felt like they should go all in on Giannis because of Wemby's concerns.
I don't trust that he's going to hold up for like the average superstar's NBA career. I just don't see it with his frame. However, his dominance on the defensive end, the way that he not only blocks shots, but his intimidation factor changes the way you attack. You know what I mean? Like, that's his stick. Cooper Flag doesn't have that. Cooper Flag's a very excellent talent, especially on the offensive side. And yes, he's going to end up being good on defense as well. But Wemby, that type of presence, you can't teach that. That's his stature. You just can't teach.
OKC or the Field?
I'm going to Field.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't think they repeat after having that hot start?
They're coming back to the pack. Denver can knock them off. You know what I mean? Like the Spurs got their number in the regular season. And that's the regular season. Postseason completely different. But Denver almost beat them last year. I know last year, but
how about the Pacers? Halliburton's Achilles away.
Almost got them.
Yeah.
So look, I don't see them as being all that dominant team. Regular season has caught up with them. SGA's now injured. I'm going with the Field.
I want to see the Knicks versus Spurs. That's what I want to see in the finals because that's box office, bro. I want to see Wemby. I want to see the Knicks. I want to see that rematch of the NBA Cup final.
Yeah. I go with Denver. Knicks, Denver. I'd rather see that. I think it's
You'd rather see that?
Better matchup for the Knicks. I think it's equally as box office.
Ooh. You think the Knicks have a better chance to beat Denver than the Spurs?
They can beat the Spurs. I just don't like how the Knicks match up with these athletic teams. Like Stephon Castle, he's starting to take flight. Then they got Vassell you got to deal with. Champagne's raining threes. You got Wemby out there. Cornette seems to have the Knicks number.
Hey, and you didn't even mention Derek. I said Derek Harper. Dylan Harper, who's good. He could be a Fox. He could be a franchise guy. Harper. You never know.
Yeah. I think the Knicks can beat them, but those athletic teams against the Knicks, it's a bad matchup. But Denver, Knicks match up very well with Denver. I wouldn't be afraid of Denver at all in the NBA.
And you look at the Spurs as legit title contenders. Like, you wouldn't be surprised if they won an NBA championship.
I don't think they're ready yet. I still think they need one more vet and they need a little bit more shooting. But they can be right there. If their defense holds up, they can be right there.
Yeah. All right, let's end it here. Is Jalen Brunson an NBA superstar?
Definitely.
Why so?
Superstars rise to the occasion, man. You look at the game where he got shut down against Asar Thompson in Detroit. He comes back and he collapsed back against the Celtics with a master class. That's what superstars do. He rarely. I've been saying this since he got here. He rarely has two bad games in a row. That's how focused, that's how cerebral he is. And when he gets into his bag, there's very few that can stop him. Now, I was very impressed with Asar's game plan and his defense. They ate him alive. But, again, he bounced back and got it done for his team. And, you just look at where this team is at. This is starting point guard for the Eastern Conference, man.
Yeah.
Starting point guard for the Eastern Conference. Yeah, Cade and Maxey are there as well. They're there. But, de facto starting point guard. He's getting the ball first.
Yeah, that game was a little bit alarming, CP. Like, just the way the Pistons popped off the screen athletically. Like, man, they got some young legs, man.
Young dogs, man. Between Asar, Holland, Dennis Jenkins.
Yeah.
The East goes through Detroit this year.
What do you think is the keys to beat them in like a series if they do match up?
You got to slow it down, man. You got to make your shots first and foremost. I know that's goes without saying, but you got to make your shots and turn them over. You got to be the aggressor with them on the defensive side. They're 22nd in the league in turnovers. You can't have them. You have to take care of the ball first and foremost, and then on the other side, you got to be the aggressor, man. You got to be the aggressor defensively and make them think twice and force them into tough shots. They're not a great shooting team. The reason why they're able to gain all those possessions is because of how ferocious they are defensively into forcing you into dumb turnovers. Then they turn those into easy points, the alley-oops to Durant. Yeah, they'll get a Duncan Robinson 3 or they'll get an advantage 3, but you gotta keep them in that half court and make them take those tough shots.
To take the conversation full circle, maybe Alvarado's the guy that could help them take them over the hump when it comes to defensive intensity versus the Pistons, and forcing the issue and being aggressive and and hopefully it's contagious.
Be a pest.
Yeah,
be a pest, man. That's all we're looking for right now.
CP, where can we find you? Social media, everywhere else.
Knicks Fan TV on all social media platforms, CP the Franchise, Twitter, X, and Instagram. The NBA Report on YouTube as well. Yeah, man, we everywhere, man.
We everywhere.
KnicksFanTV.com for sure.
Talk soon, bro.
Yeah, man. All right, appreciate you, bro.